Hello, welcome to my channel. My channel is called Serenity and Strength and covers my widowhood journey. Apart from that, it also will talk about aspects of my wellness journey. My name is Joyce Onyango. For those who are watching my channel, thank you very much. If you have not yet subscribed, I would kindly ask that you do so. And as I've said in the past, subscribing does not cost you anything. Do also like and share so that as many people as possible are able to walk this journey with us. And today I will deviate a bit from the storyline, and basically because of two aspects that came to my mind. First of all, in July this year, I traveled to Uganda and I had the privilege of attending the Mass for the World Union of Catholic Women's Organizations, and the Mass was held at Namugongo Shrine. And during that Mass, or towards the end of it, one of the celebrants talked about a lady who was suspected of adultery by her husband and in-laws, and she was beaten up quite badly, and the church had to intervene in that particular case. Then more recently, I think it was about a week or so ago, I just read something on social media where it talked about a lady also was accused, but in this particular case, she was accused of having killed her husband. He had passed on, and she was told that in order to prove her innocence, she needed to drink the water which the body was washed in. And it took the intervention of a women's rights group to stop, that process taking place. So it just occurred to me that there are still incidences where women are accused of things just by suspicion, and they are actually, you find that they are tried and convicted, and some kind of punishment levied on them without any kind of evidence whatsoever. So I thought it was important to just talk about those kinds of things and my own situation or whatever took place, which was about 37 or so, no, more than 37 years ago. Maybe it took place 39 or so years ago. And that particular ordeal that I went through had some kind of impact on some of the things that took place during my husband's funeral. So I thought it was important to just talk about it at least, and bring everybody into the picture, so that as we go through the storyline of the occurrences, at least people would have this in mind and as well, and possibly to understand some of the dynamics of whatever took place. There are some experiences that you go through that they shake you quite a bit, and I believe that you can use those experiences either to grow, or you can actually let yourself go. But when you let yourself go, then you find that you're letting yourself break as it is, and I don't think that is very wise. So I'm the kind of person that normally when something happens, I use that to grow myself. I don't, or I try as much as possible not to let that pain take me down. I use that pain to chart the way forward and to be able to ensure that that kind of pain, I avoid it being inflicted on me as much as possible. But those are the kind of things that I think each and every person needs to think about and see how to deal about in the situations that they are in. So almost 40 years ago, I recall a case in Eldoret where there was a university lecturer who passed on. And when we went for the funeral, we found that the wife and those who had gone ahead to take his body the day before had actually been beaten on arrival at the home because she was being accused of having caused his death. So, those are things that were taking place so many years ago. And unfortunately, it's like they're still taking place. And it's such a shame that it appears that there are certain places where a death is not taken just as a pure death, it's taken like it has been caused by a person in one way or another. 39 years or so ago, we lost a child who was a toddler, and this child was a boy. His name was Jim. And I recall the day that it happened, I left the house as usual to go to work, and always he would wake up. By the time I'm going to work, he's awake. He'd always stand on a chair in the sitting room and say bye to me through the window, and would continue saying bye until I went out of the gate, and I was picked from just opposite the gate with the university bus. So you'd find you even if you're watching from out there, you could always see his head, just waiting until the bus actually comes and he sees me going off. So this happened just as usual. When I came back from work and the gate is being opened for me, then I'm told that he was sleeping in bed and he hadn't moved and he looked like he was just not moving. So I dashed to the bedroom, found him um, fast asleep still, and actually was cold. Um, and at that point in time, what we did is that I rang the hospital, told me to call the police. That was a police case. Then eventually the police told us to take him to the hospital, which we did, and then go to write a police statement, which I did. And then my husband, who was abroad, we got in touch with him and he came back home, and then we went home for the funeral. That is home in the village. And when we got home in the village for the funeral, one of the things is that was just before we reached the homestead. He was telling me that, okay, now that we're reaching, we've been told that whatever we're told to do, we just have to do it. Well, I told him, well, that depends on what it is, because I'm not one to just do anything without understanding what it's all about. So then we get to the home. The funeral was the next day. Unfortunately, my um, mother and other relatives who were coming from Uganda were stopped at the border. There was some kind of an issue between Uganda and Kenya at that time, and they were not able to come. So what they simply did was send us, whatever they were sending, including some cloth to cover the baby and to wrap him in the coffin. So come the time of the funeral, in fact the day of the funeral, one, we were told not to change our clothes, to keep the clothes that, in fact they were saying that we're supposed to keep the clothes that we had on at the time the child died. And I'm telling them, you know what, we've been changing our clothes. He said, no, now you don't change, just stay in whatever you have. And I'm finding it. So we had the burial. On a daily basis, I was asked that I should get up very early in the morning, like around 6 a.m., when it's still slightly dark. And then also in the evenings, when it's getting dark, I should actually go to the grave and cry and wail there for quite some time. I found that rather difficult to do, and I even told them that, that's not the way I mourn. My grief will come naturally, and when I feel like crying, I will cry. But I could see that my stance on this was not taken positively at all. Then I was told that you are not going to have anybody cooking for you. You're going to have to cook for yourselves. I was not to touch any child in the compound. I was to keep to myself, in our place, and I couldn't quite understand it. And so it continued like that. What was happening is that my husband, though, was going to a town which is a bit of a distance away, that is Kisumu, was going there every day with his father because they were following up some of his legal issues. But he would go with him, they do whatever they're doing, and then he would just come back, to where I was and whatever. And then whenever he came back, of course, he would buy things like meat, chicken, or whatever food he's buying. So whatever things he was buying, he would buy, they would separate what was ours, and then he would give them whatever was for them to cook, and then our stuff would come down, and then I would be the one who would cook the stuff and everything like that. But then what was happening, which I was finding very strange, was that despite the fact that I was told nobody was to eat our food, on a daily basis, you'd find somebody who would come and always pick some of the stew that I've cooked and insist that they're taking some of the stew and that they've been told to come and take it. So I was finding that also rather weird because already they had whatever they were eating. So it ended up with me now having to cook even slightly more because each time they would come and collect something, and yet at the same time, I'm told that nobody's supposed to eat my food. So anyway, that continued like that. Then at some point, I was told to pick a grasshopper and keep it in the house. That was pick it in the evening, keep it in the house. I can't remember which day it was. And that in the morning, very early in the morning, around that 6 a.m., I would need to release it because that is what is going to release the soul of the child. So I said, no, I don't believe in that kind of thing. So I was being told, you know what? We do it. We are Luos, we are also Catholics, and we do it, and you also need to do it. But I just said, no, I don't believe in that kind of a thing. So already there was a lot of, we started getting a lot of tension, but I also kept on feeling that there was a lot of, you could just feel that kind of, negativity towards you.
I found that I was able to increase my amount of water intake substantially by putting in lime or lemon and infusing it. And the amount that you put in is just a few slices, but it really depends on your taste. The infusion time is normally between 15 minutes to 4 hours, also depending on your taste. With the limes, I normally cut them into quarters because they're fairly small, and that would be quite sufficient, 4 of them or 8 of them. Then with the lemon, you tend to cut them into slices. And the water that you use is normally either room temperature or warm water. That is what is actually advised. Cold water is not the best, but we will discuss that in the next time. So you'll find that when you take this water, you're going to have a lot of benefits in that you find that your digestion is going to be better, your immunity, and also hydration. And then with limes, you find that they also have antioxidants. They'll help to lower your BP because of the potassium and the magnesium, and they may even support your liver function. So you'll find that you are going to be detoxified very well. As usual, make sure that you wash your foods well with water and also soda bicarbonate. Let me know how you find the drink depending on the quantities that you put in, and also do read the links that are going to be shared so that you're able to get more information on lemons and limes and how they can actually boost your health. Enjoy, and I'll see you next time. And do remember to subscribe and remain a member of this channel. Bye.